Hey all, Southern Sage back again, and this week we are talking about building up your food stores. So how do you stock the pantry on a budget? So hopefully you've watched the last two videos where we talk about the buy one extra method of slowly building up storage so you have a few days on hand of things that you use all the time, and the 4 meals 4 times plan that'll get you up to 2 weeks. Now we're going to look at a different way to build up food stores for a longer period of time, or a different approach to just general food storage that breaks it down into pieces that are easy to do, right? Because it can get really overwhelming if you're like, oh my God, we eat so much food. How could I ever store a whole month worth of food on hand, for example? So to do this, we're going to break down what you need into 4 buckets. We're going to look at staple calories, starches, basically. We're going to look at proteins, we're going to look at condiments and fats, and we're going to look at fruits and vegetables. Okay, so the things that give you vitamins, basically. And so across those 4, you're going to rotate, and you're going to buy some of one of them each week. So look at whatever your weekly budget is, and whatever money you can put aside, right? If it's $5, great. If it's $50, amazing, right? Whatever that number is, each week you're going to focus on one of those 4, and the next week you're going to focus on the next one, and the next week you're going to focus on the next one, so that over the course of the month, whatever your budget is, you're going to end up with a little bit more of all of these on hand. Now, the flip side of this method is that if you're using these things to cook with, most of them are really cheap. And if you are transitioning your diet away from some of the prepackaged convenience meals into some of these very low cost but nutrient dense effective food staples, you will also free up more money in that budget to accelerate the process. So just keep all that in mind. Now let's look at our 4 categories. So here we have some examples of our staple starches. So flour, rice, pasta, and dehydrated potatoes. These are your classic buckets. Now there are other things. You could get quinoa, you could get brown rice, you could get, like, there's lots of grains out there, amaranth, lots of kinds of flours. But for most folks, rice and pasta are extremely accessible. They keep for flippin' ever, and most people will happily eat them. Potatoes, the dry potato flakes, are a form of potato that'll keep on the shelf for a very long time. And so that works. And then flour, if you have some idea how to make bread, flour is a great way to make sure you can have bread on hand. You know, bonus points if you happen to have a bread machine, do make sure you keep yeast. Also want to mention, here I have pictured whole wheat flour, because that's what I use when I make bread, and so that's what was on my pantry shelf. Whole wheat flour will go bad, it'll go rancid after about 6 months. So for longer storage, if you don't normally bake anything with flour, you should look at white flour, okay? Because it will keep a lot longer. So these are your basic starches. Right? Again, whatever your budget is, buy that amount of them. You know, $5 will get you a couple of pounds of rice and a couple of pounds of pasta. $10 will get you a lot more. So you can bulk up on these with not a lot of money pretty quickly. Category 2 is our proteins. So these are typically beans and canned meats. Now, I know some people look at the Spam and the Vienna sausages and say that's disgusting, and I completely understand that. I have some of it around because it's just part of my general stores and they're a great source of fat, but I struggle to include them in any kind of regular meal plan. But they keep for flippin' ever, so having some of them in rotation is fine. Most of my protein stores are actually in beans. So I keep a wide variety of dry beans and lentils on hand. Whenever we get to bulk food storage, you'll see some of those, how I keep them in buckets. But these simple bags of dry beans are inexpensive, widely available, easy to throw a pound, 2 pounds in your grocery cart for a couple of bucks. Canned beans are a form that a lot of people will eat. I know I didn't grab a can of pork and beans, but that's a form of beans that even my bean-sensitive folks, because I'm cooking for 2 people who dislike the taste and texture of beans. And so the chili, the baked beans, and pork and beans are a form they'll eat. So you just got to kind of buy for who you're cooking for. right? So bulking up on proteins. The next category is two different things in one. So we've got condiments and flavorings, so things you use to make the plain rice and the plain beans taste good. Don't forget salt in this category. Okay, so making sure in your rotation you end up with a couple of boxes of salt is a great plan. You can see here the things that I use the most of. The other part is fats, so this is mostly for cooking. Right now, most Americans get more than enough fat from the meats that we eat, right? The average American diet is incredibly fat-centric, and so we don't think about these a lot. However, in a situation where we're not eating out all the time, where animal products are maybe too expensive or not available, having some shelf-stable fats on hand is really handy. Now, much like the flour, this olive oil will go bad, and so only keep as much on hand as you use. Now, olive oil is a thing that I cook with every single day, so I keep an extra gallon on hand. Crisco, on the other hand, will stay good for flippin' ever, especially if it's not open. Like years you can put Crisco on the shelf. Same for canola oil unopened. And so in terms of storage fats, those are a lot better. I do also keep butter in a freezer, but I understand that if the power goes out, I'm going to be making a lot of ghee on short notice. So your third category, split it up between things that make stuff taste good and fats to have on hand. These are more expensive, so in your weekly budget you'll end up getting less stuff, but it goes a long way. A little bit of fat, a little bit of spice goes a long way. And then our last category are fruits and vegetables. You'll notice I don't have a lot of selection to show you, and the reason for that is that I grow most of ours in the garden, I home can it, and I didn't want to put a bunch of mason jars here because you're not going to get that in a grocery store. So, whatever the vegetables and fruits that your family will eat, get your budget in those. If it's canned corn, green beans, I have tomatoes here because I use it in all kinds of recipes. My husband loves sauerkraut. It's a great vitamin-rich food, right? So whatever that is, get those, right? Fruit salad. I'm not judging. Okay, so once you've gone through and you've gotten a starch in week 1 and protein in week 2, and a condiment or a fat or a little bit of both in week 3, and then you've gotten fruits and vegetables in week 4, you're going to come back and start over again on your starches. Okay, so each week, whatever your budget is, hit the one that's up, and then all you got to keep up with for a while is which one am I on, right? What's my next one? And working from there. So the other part of this that we're going to talk about in a different video is how do you learn to cook with this stuff, and how do you adapt a family that maybe is used to eating out a lot, or maybe is used to prepared versions of things or not shelf-stable versions of things, into eating stuff that will keep. Okay, so how do you start introducing these foods into their regular diet? And that's a whole different ballgame, and I'm struggling with that as I integrate into a new family that hasn't grown up this way, but I'm finding things that work, and I'm going to share them with you. So look for that video coming up in the next couple of days, and I hope you've enjoyed this one. As always, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think, let me know what's helpful, let me know what else you'd like to know. Thanks.